course, I don't know about you, but it actually makes me pretty angry that, there he was, full of smiles as he surrendered away a few of our hard-fought Brexit freedoms back to the EU. We now have to be under the dynamic alignment of the EU under certain things, and once again under the jurisdiction of the ECJ, the European Court of Justice, which I'm pretty sure is a massive Brexit hard line, which he has kind of peed all over. But there are a few things that Starmer probably also doesn't want you to know. Something which is surely hidden all this, which unfortunately for you and me is going to hit our pockets even harder in the middle of all this cost of living crisis, which Keir Starmer is basically appearing to make worse with every week he's in office. But just what am I going on about then, and what are these things? Well, the first one is surely going to set the price going up when it is in fact starting to come down. And according to this article, it says outrage as Brits face higher energy bills after Keir Starmer's Brexit surrender to the EU. But how come? How can the EU have anything to do with our energy? Well, it says that it is thought that the new understanding will limit Britain's ability to change its net zero rules, as the Prime Minister has agreed to be looped into the continent's carbon market. And when will these people realise that net zero is pretty much, I'm sure, is a fantasy? At the end of the day, it kind of moves around to other places, and who knows how long that will potentially be before it actually comes back here, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years probably. So therefore the clean air which we're apparently going to be producing with all solar farms and wind farms or whatever is going to be blown over to other places, and then we'll have what they probably see as dirty air come on over here. So therefore, isn't it a no-win situation? I mean, it's just going to be costing us mountains of money for all these things to begin with, when I'm pretty sure that money could be spent on more important things. And quite worryingly, it says this ties the UK to the EU's climate laws, increasing pollution charges, ensuring that any future government will find it harder to get around green targets without triggering trade punishments, according to The Sun. And that word there, trade punishments, sounds a bit nasty, doesn't it? And in fact, could actually impact quite a lot of businesses as time goes on, presumably, because if the EU changes something, we'll no doubt have to follow it, so we're dynamically aligned, presumably including any punishments, and it's just going to send us down further into this net zero and, of course, EU nonsense, isn't it? But what are they all said about it then? Well, the Conservative Shadow Energy Secretary Andrew Bowie said that the link-up leaves the door wide open for higher energy bills and new taxes on transport. I've completely forgot about transport. He also added on X, emissions trading scheme alignment agreement will see the UK sign up to cap and therefore carbon price at least as high as the EU's, increasing cost to UK industry with an appropriate, it says, financial contribution from the UK in return. So there we go, sending more of our tax money to the EU than, let's face it, we should not really have to do in the first place, because we're bloody well left, haven't we? This is going to end up hitting us more in the pocket than we realise. But just what is the other thing that we're all going to have to worry about? Because this is bad enough, isn't it? Surely, well, let's just say, if you like eating, then, you might not actually like this too much. Which, let's face it, is pretty much everyone on the planet, because we have to eat, don't we? But they're always telling us, be healthy, aren't they? Although this next thing means that if we eat our greens and be healthy, that could actually impact us quite a lot more. But why? I mean, surely all this is meant to boost trade, isn't it? And meant to have us get things cheaper than what we did before, presumably. To be honest, I don't really know quite how that works, because I'm pretty sure the deal we struck with the EU back when we left meant that we had zero tariffs anyway with certain things like food, although admittedly I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But apparently, according to this, fruit and veg from outside the EU will get more expensive under Starmer's deal. Well, thank you very bloody much. I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but I think this whole EU reset is an absolute joke. It's a disaster, if anything. And hopefully MPs will actually have the chance to vote on it, and then they can quash or water down these hard Remainer. I mean, they're always saying hard Brexit, but this is a hard Remainer EU-style deal, isn't it? But, just what fruit and veg are we talking about? Well, it says that avocados, pineapples, mangoes and oranges are among the products industry figures are warning will become more expensive after the Prime Minister's bound Britain to EU rules on food and drink. Even more common items such as tomatoes, many of which are sourced from Morocco, could also rise in price. Well, thanks, Keir. Read between the lines. the end of the day, hopefully people will realise this. They'll look at the deal closely as it comes out in the coming weeks or months. Maybe, just maybe, with parties like the Conservatives and, of course, Reform, who hopefully will be the next party in government in 2029. Hopefully they'll start to put pressure on Keir to say, no, hang on, we won't agree to that part. But why do we always have to be under their rules, like under the EU Court of Justice, to agree anything? And of course, following their rules on food standards or whatever. Well, they shouldn't bloody well follow our rules instead. It's just an absolute joke. And at the end of the day, if you actually look at the deal, this is what we're meant to be getting. I think you can all agree that it is not actually very much, especially with things like youth mobility. I mean, we've got the Alan Turing project, as far as I'm aware, which could mean students could study anywhere in the world, not just limited to the EU. So that hardly benefits us. It benefits the EU more in that case, doesn't it, eh? And get this, Nigel Jersey, the chief executive of Fresh Produce Consumption, said, whilst we have resolved the EU border position, we have moved the problem and the cost to non-EU goods. What we have saved on one hand, we have lost with the other, and that just does seem to be the way with governments in general, doesn't it? A lot of that cost and a lot of that burden now appears to have been applied, subject to dynamic alignment, to goods being sourced from the rest of the world. It just makes me wonder, what could this actually do to our deals with other places, like the one that Keir Starmer and Donald Trump are trying to do at the moment? Presumably, Donald is going to take one look at this EU reset, which, to be honest, we didn't really need, I don't think, and just say, no, sorry, Keir, I ain't doing that. And let's face it, that will surely be a massive kick in our gonads than what we could have done without. But this is how bad it can be. In just one example of extra red tape, currently less than 5% of citrus fruits imported to the UK are subject to checks at British ports. This could rise to as much as 100% once Britain aligns itself with the EU regulations, and on average just 5% of fresh food produce are checked according to the Fresh Produce Consortium. So this is absolute disgraceful, isn't it? It's going to cause a mountain of backlogs and delays, presumably anyway, along with these extra costs. Almost 93% of pineapples on British supermarkets came from Costa Rica last year. On almost 1/3 of avocados eaten in the UK are from Peru, according to figures from the International Trade Centre. Fruit and vegetables like these, it says, cannot be sourced in similar quantities from Europe, leaving importers with no choice but to stomach the extra checks and delays involved. Mr. Jenny said it's not like saying, oh, I'll buy it from Europe instead. It's not available in Europe, which is why we have to source it from around the world. And this is where it's going to hit us even more, isn't it? Because even things like tomatoes and strawberries, which are, of course, awesome, many are grown and harvested outside of Europe as supermarkets seek to supply fruit all year round. And Egypt apparently grew 17.2% of all imported strawberries sold in Britain last year. So, there you go. Thanks a lot, Keir. And yes, I know I said read between the lines earlier, but sod that. Have one of them instead. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be back soon, so make sure you click the subscribe button down there so you don't miss my next video.